Greetings and bienvenue, MITZU. Thank you for returning to this broadcast, and welcome to new viewers joining us for the first time. If you like a video, then feel free to subscribe.
Strange coincidences. Sometimes people say something that feels like it was scripted to me, like I'm supposed to hear it. I'm sure this happens to you too. Let's share our stories. 4th grade, end of the school year. Teacher is telling us what she thinks we'd all be when we're grown-ups. Looks at me, smiles, pauses for like 5 seconds, just silent. The whole room was quiet. I found this weird, but I was excited to hear what she said. Every other kid got something like doctor, lawyer, writer, producer. This teacher looks at me and just says, "You're going to do great things." I mean, this seems innocent enough. But here's the fun part. A couple days ago, share some lyrics I've been writing to my friend. He and I jam together. He looks at my work, smiles, looks at me. Same pause. This is where the first story starts flooding back to me. 5 seconds go by. "You're going to do great things." I chuckled it off with just a simple, "So I've heard." But those two aren't the only instance of this exact thing happening in my life. What kind of stories do you have? What do you think could be going on in my world?
Hey OP, I've had a similar case, although what people have said to me is a little less common. Be 19. Go to a doctor appointment because I need a refill on some meds. Be bored as hell, so put in earbuds. Haven't bothered looking at a single patient that walks in or out because I honestly couldn't care less. An elderly woman walks into the waiting room from the room where they do checkups and such. Even though I hadn't looked at anyone else before, it physically hurt not to look at her. Didn't even hear her walk in. My neck was just forced upward unnaturally. I stared at her for a long time and she stared back. She walks right up to me. Think to myself that I should stand up, but my legs won't let me. My eyes haven't left hers. She breaks the stare, kneels down, and stares at my stomach through my shirt with an odd look that seemed like a mix of fascination and happiness. I'm weirded out, but don't say anything. She grabs my hand and feels both sides of it. She then looks into my eyes again and tells me she can see my insides and they're beautiful. She then left, and after she had, I felt like I had been released from some kind of hold. Since then, I have also run into various people I've never met that have said something to the same effect, like, "They're beautiful. I can see what is inside of you," etc. These occurrences happen often as I'm walking through the store, and someone will just stare at me and say that to me. I've always been too afraid to ask any of them what they mean when they say that.
Used to be very ill. Illness went on for a few months. Had very intense abdominal pain. Couldn't eat, sleep, etc. Went to the ER several times with doctors giving me painkillers and then discharging me because they didn't know shit. Either because of stress or pain or side effects from drugs, I would have dreams of people making me feel better, telling jokes, talking about random shit, etc. One told me, "We'll stay by your side until you get better." OK.JPG. A tall man in the dream told me his name. Theon. Went to the ER again one night, finally being admitted for a few days so they could really figure out what was going on. People in scrubs, I assumed either interns or assistants, attached wires all over me. Happened to spot one guy with his head down reading a chart. Stopped briefly to play with some equipment. Read his name tag. Theon. Wait. What? Suddenly he leaves. Never saw him again. Sat there like a rock. Didn't even get to talk to him. Never saw him again. Continued to have dreams as I received treatment and took medication. Figured it was the meds because super vivid. When cured, no more dreams. I regret to this day never even getting to talk to that guy. When I think about it, though, what would we have talked about? Oh, hi, I had a dream of a guy with your name? He'd probably think I was crazy. I probably just misread his tag anyway. Could have been Theodore or something. It's possible it could have said Theon, but it's not a very common name, so it's just odd. I still feel like going to that hospital just to ask if someone with that name ever worked there. It was so long ago, though, so even if he did, nobody would remember.
I've gotten 2 Truman Show moments in my life with people I don't know calling me by my name. I've managed to rationalize one of them, but the other remains a mystery. First incident happened several years ago while in high school on lunch break. I was just walking around when a ball rolled next to me. I grabbed it and threw it back to the owners, younger kids. One of them says, "Thanks, Anon." I continue walking, and then it hits me. How did that kid know my name? This was a big school and I wasn't particularly popular or unpopular. Yet I guess younger kids might have some sort of admiration of seniors, and that's how the kid knew me. Second incident, on a bus, a homeless guy. I give some change. "Thanks, Anon." "You're welcome." The homeless dude gets off. Wait. Oh shit. I was by myself, so it couldn't be a case of him just overhearing my name. I wasn't wearing a name tag or anything like that. Never saw the homeless guy again.
Oh shit. This happened to me the other day. I have a very unusual name. It is very rare. What can I say? My parents were weirdos. Instead, I usually go by a much more common nickname. Even some of my best friends don't know the name on my birth certificate. I was in the grocery store the other day, walking in a hurry to grab something during my shift break. The woman in front of me stopped abruptly, and I bumped into her. I stuttered out an apology and said something about how I wasn't watching where I was going. She turned to the side, stared off into space, and said, "All right, redacted." Then she started giggling like a crazy person. I grabbed what I needed, checked out, and walked to my car. As I started to drive away, it hit me that I had never seen that woman before in my life. And she knew my name, my real name. I never did figure out who she was.
I'm unemployed right now because of déjà vu. Context: be a university student. I use part-time jobs to pay my daily expenses. Move around using the university bus since it goes everywhere and is cheaper than the regular bus. The bus is always packed with people. Now for the actual story. Unemployed. Got an interview that day for an assistant job in the university. I go to the bus stop and join the waiting line for the bus. Notice that in front of me in line there is an office lady. I try not to stare at her too much, however I notice she constantly stares at me with a concerned or afraid look. Naturally, I'm used to this since I'm not a handsome man. Finally, the bus comes and everyone gets inside. Packed as usual. No room to sit or move. Had to go all the way like a tuna fish. The office lady is next to me, very, very close, all the way giving me the same looks. Finally, about to reach my bus stop, the bus abruptly stops a few meters from my stop. I guess another car suddenly got in the way or something. Everyone inside the bus is shocked by the impact. I grab onto the high metal bar in order to avoid falling to the floor from the shock. The office lady couldn't and falls over me. I grab her with my free hand since otherwise she would fall to the floor really hard.
Instantly after that, she pushes me off and gives me a really angry look and screams, "Fuck off. Stop trying to touch me." I don't know what to say. The office lady storms off the bus when the back door opens. People are staring at me. I get off quickly and try to go to the interview. Notice the office lady is going the same way as me. She also looks back constantly with an angry and fearful look when she sees me going the same way as her, and speeds up her walking every time. Finally get to the building indicated in the interview, which she enters too. Ask at reception where I should go. Finally get to the interview office. Inside the office, there she is, the still angry and attractive office lady. She opens her eyes so wide and snaps immediately as she sees me enter through the door. Screams hysterically that I must leave her alone and that she is going to call security if I don't leave. I try to explain to her in a calm manner about 5 times who I am, why I am there, and that I didn't touch her inappropriately on the bus, and that I just wanted to avoid her falling to the floor. After she makes about 4 calls to different persons to confirm who I am and why I'm there, she relaxes a bit. The interview goes smoothly from there. I get the job. She apologizes, tells me I'm starting tomorrow. Next day, I go to the bus stop, make the line. Notice the office lady is there too, making the line in front of me again. Try to chat a little with her about how the work is there and stuff, trying to be very polite. She barely responds and has the same concerned and fearful look from before. Well, shit. Give up on talking, get on the bus. Packed again, like tuna fish. The office lady is again next to me. The bus is about to reach the stop. I notice everything is exactly the same as before. Like the same exact people sit on the same seats or the same people grabbing the high bar in the same manner as yesterday. Deja vu, I guess. The bus suddenly stops in the same fucking way. The office lady again falls over me. I grab her shoulder in order to avoid her from falling. Before I even have the chance to think, I hope she doesn't snap this time. She in fact does. Fuck off. Stop trying to touch my ass. Again, I didn't say anything. I was just like, give me a fucking break. She storms off. We go the same way. Same deal. She looks back at me with a fearful, angry look. I just try to forget the whole thing. I better get to the building, start working, and later I can talk to her and apologize or something. About 2 hours from that, security comes. They say that I should go out since now I'm fired. What the fuck? I'm leaving the building with security behind me, perplexed about the issue. When I'm about to get out, the reception lady comes to me and asks me what happened. I give a short summary of the grabbing issue and paranoia of the office lady. She tells me, shit luck, and that she hopes that the office lady doesn't file a harassment report against me. It's not the first time this has happened. Always the incidents have something to do with someone touching her ass, she specifies, with a new part-time worker. I don't know what to even say. I just get out of there. That's it. Sorry if it's not very paranormal, save for the deja vu bit. I still don't get how a woman can be so fucking paranoid about people touching her all the time, though. I hope she didn't really file a sexual harassment report or something. The whole premise is just stupid.
Final week in year 12. Everyone winding down from school life. Teachers are saying goodbye to us and talking about the future in our classes. Our biology teacher going from person to person, telling us what they think we are going to be, similar to OP. The teacher looks at me and friends around me start laughing and saying stupid shit like, he'll be flipping burgers for life. The teacher just smiles and dismisses them, tells them all in this really creepy tone, No, he... He's going to have his uses. I think about this shit even to this day, 10 years later. Being a biology teacher, was he just referring to me being useful as a living organism? Was he referring to dying and my dead body feeding plants or some shit? I was pretty normal in high school and nice to him as far as the other students went. Why did he single me out? I never had any relationship with this guy beyond simply attending class.
No, I don't often entertain violent thoughts. I've seen combat and I hunt for food, but I didn't enjoy those things. My mind just kind of goes to this blank, emotionless place in those situations. Violence is something that I try to avoid. When I get angry, or sad, or otherwise upset, I don't feel vindictive. The idea of hurting someone or something just seems like it would compound the problem. If anything, I feel like I have too much empathy for people. When I see someone in distress, regardless of the circumstances, I have trouble shaking it off. I feel like I have to do something to help or comfort them, or I don't sleep well at night. When people were freaking out in front of me in my office, I was thinking about things like, how can I help this person? Or, I like that guy's tie. Or, maybe I'll go hiking after work. Or, what will I have for lunch? Nothing spooky. That's the weirdest thing. I mean, I could understand it if I was angry all the time, or if I was creeping on the women or acting predatory or something. They might pick up on that by instinct. But honestly, it wasn't that. I just remembered another incident like this. Happened about 20 years ago. I was 17 and working a fast food gig for the summer. It was a pizza joint, and I worked the lunch shift. The cash register and pickup counter were behind thick glass, with a little window for exchanging money and boxes of food. I think the building had previously been a bank, and it was the old teller counter. It was in a part of town surrounded by investment, law, and government offices. A lot of rich VIPs stopped by there to grab a quick lunch or a soda. Every day, a woman in very expensive professional dress would come in and order a personal pan pepperoni pizza with a side of raw meat. Every day I would ring her up for the pizza, but told her that we couldn't hand out raw meat. It was against health regulations. Also, all of the meat we put on the pizzas was pre-cooked and delivered to us every morning from a bigger company kitchen downtown. She would just hand over her credit card and mutter under her breath things like, "I know you have it. I know you have it. Why are you lying to me?" Then she would sign the receipt and not say another word. One day she came in and she kept looking over to the corner of the lobby and nodding, like there was a person there talking to her, but there was nobody there. This time, after asking for raw meat, she turned to the corner and said, "Shut up, all right, I'll ask." Then she said, "Look, can't you just put it in a plastic cup or something? I won't tell anybody. I know what you keep in the icebox." I shook my head and said no. She continued to come in every day for another week, playing out the same pattern as before. Then one day, she asked again, and I said no. She literally threw herself against the order window, trying to reach through the cash slot to attack me. She was snarling and making animal noises. She just kept throwing herself against the window until her face was bleeding. I could hear her muttering in between snarls and growls, saying, "Why are you doing this to me? You know why I need it. You know. I know you have it. Shut up. I am asking. Just give it to me. Just give it to me." I ran to the back counter to call the police. As I dialed, I heard the thumping against the glass and the snarling stop. I turned and went back to the counter. She was walking through the parking lot, looking dazed. She walked to an Audi parked on the street, got in, drove off, and never came back. The weirdest part is, on days I wasn't working, she still came in, but she never acted strangely and never asked the other employees for raw meat. Something about me just set her off.
I have a kind of spooky story more than anything. I used to work for a theater as community service to get hours to put on my resume. Awkward 18-year-old fresh from high school, looking for jobs, but most reject due to no experience. Start doing community service for a theater in the summer before going to college. Became a favorite of the supervisor, and he lets me close with him. He tells me some generic bullshit about how to close a theater and cash out the box office, etc. Mentions that there is a ghost of the theater, an old technician that died on the property when a stage light fell on him. Brush it off as general spooky story shit to just make me feel on edge, because every theater is supposedly haunted. Closed for several weeks and didn't notice a single thing. One day I was closing, though. I noticed something strange. As I was locking up the main prop room and wood shop, I noticed a single stage light was on. Find this strange since I was just up there and turned everything off and locked it up, and start walking upstairs. Went up the main ladder behind the stage and tried to open the catwalk door. Shit's locked. Immediately start to find this weird, due to it only being me in this theater, and my closing clipboard by the door confirms I turned everything off. Go inside and go to the light. It's off. Grab the nearest swingable object and walk back to the exit. Shit's locked. Begin to just question my sanity and unlock it. Make my way downstairs and make my way to the stage. Finish closing, and as I leave, I notice a shadow figure sitting in the sound booth. I say figure because once I noticed it, I noped out of there, but it was humanoid. Call my supervisor and let him know I closed everything. I guessed he was pranking me and accused him of scaring the shit out of me. He was at his house, and I could hear his dog in the background.
I was born on January 6th, 1986. All of my friends have had a birthday within 1 month of my own. All of my closest friends have had a birthday within 1 day of my own, often the same. My wife was born the exact same day as me. The opposite of this is also true. The further away from my birthday, the more likely a person is to be irrationally afraid of me. As a person's birth date draws closer to summer, this irrational fear turns into complete insanity. This does not affect people with an age difference over 10 years from me. I have had to deal with multiple false allegations ranging from stalking to assault from people who I didn't even know existed. All of the people making these allegations were born in July. One from my last job involved a girl who was younger than me, and HR had both of us in the room. The girl refused to come in at first, and when they finally got her in, she took one look at me and gave me a look of sheer terror. She ended up running away screaming that I was trying to kill her, as if something had taken hold of her. She swore up and down that I had a chainsaw in my hand while in the room. Due to the fact that I clearly did not, HR sided with me and chalked her up as being nuts. She quit the next day. I now work freelance from home and go outside as rarely as possible. The reason for this is because I've also had to deal with false police reports. Each time I go outside, I risk running into someone who will view me as a predator, regardless of how I act. It's honestly a really big problem in my life, but hopefully, /X/ finds my misfortune entertaining.
Oddly, I know that feel, OP. I also prefer working from home. At just about every job I have had, I had complaints from customers and coworkers who said that they felt threatened by me, to the point where they couldn't be in the same room. Often they were people from other departments that I had never spoken to, or paid any attention to at all. I am kind of shy and socially awkward, but in general I think I am a pretty chill and happy person. I like people just fine. I just prefer to work alone. So I wasn't approaching any of these people, or even trying to make conversation beyond what was practical to get work done. But things would happen. A customer or client would walk in. I would greet them, smile, offer a handshake and a cup of coffee, and get ready to look at their paperwork. Next thing I knew, he or she would be freaking out and hyperventilating or crying. I'd find myself in an HR meeting trying to explain that I had no idea why. One minute I'm sitting there typing and asking, "So how can we help you today?" And the next minute someone is screaming, "Get away from me," and running from the room.
Met a random nutty insane woman at a bus stop and got chatting. On the bus, I kept thinking she's so nutty it'd be fun to hang out with her. But it won't happen, and I'll never see her again after this. Turns out we got off at the same stop. By then, she's feeling sick, so I walk her to where she needed to go. She invites me to her place, and I agree. Realize she really is pretty batshit. Get kind of scared at that point. Nothing bad happens. We just sit and talk for 2 hours or so, and she shows me some of her paintings. She keeps saying there are no coincidences. There are incidents. Go back home. On one hand, given how nutty she was, it is hard to take some of the things she said seriously, but all of the factors that contributed to this story turning out as it did seem strange. It's just kinda curious.
Year 1999. My father moves to a new town. The new town is Newtown, Connecticut. I move in with him. Enroll in Newtown High School. My locker number is 1313. By coincidence, a next-door neighbor is a former student at my old school. By another coincidence, I recognize another girl in the cafeteria who I barely knew, but my sister used to ask me if I knew her. My sister said she thought I was cute or had a crush on me. Odd, because that's the only person my sister ever mentioned in that way. And my sister is 9 years older than me, and it was just a coincidence that she even encountered that girl through a friend. I feel very awkward in Newtown High School. The people all seem fake. They kinda look at me like a freak. I get the impression they think I am the next school shooter. And I sort of feel like Newtown High is like Columbine. I tell friends and family Newtown seems like a town where there will be a shooting. For some reason, I am convinced that someday there will be a shooting in Newtown. My locker number is 1313. I hate Newtown. I want to go home. Move back in with my mom. Start school in my old town. My first love is in my class. When I was in school, I knew this kid who was born on Christmas. Always was sort of envious he was born on a holiday. I was born on April 1st, so always thought it was kind of funny. In the rare times I'd talk to him, I would bring up how we were both sort of born on holidays. But secretly, I sort of wished I was born on a holiday like his. Be looking through calendars from my birth year. Find out my birthday was on Good Friday. Look through an old class photo from 5th grade. The only class photo I have. I am sitting right next to the kid born on Christmas. Here is another one. First love. Her name is similar to mine, just the female form of the same name, and her last name starts with a letter in the alphabet before mine. Senior year in high school, a girl comes to my school as a new student. She is very attractive for some reason. Her initials are the same as mine. Her last name starts with the same first letters. On picture day, we are in the same class. They call people with our last name to the auditorium for pictures. They are makeup pictures because our senior photos were taken during summer, but she wasn't a student then. She doesn't react, and I want to tell her, but something holds me back. I develop a crush on her, contributes to my breakup with my first love. She dumps me, and the new girl doesn't like me the same way. I am devastated, totally destroyed. I deserve it. When we finally get our yearbooks, I notice that my first love's picture is directly opposite mine, so that if you cut it out, mine would be on the other side. Yet if the new girl went to get her picture taken, due to the alphabet, her picture would have been the one behind my first love. Instead, it is me. One day, years later, I talked to the new girl about it. She says she was hoping I wouldn't say anything to her that day when they were calling for makeup pictures because she didn't want them.
One time I was working this stinking stand gig at a mall selling phones, and it was hot as shit here. Some woman approaches my stand, and as she's about to ask her question, she just looks at me with kind and sweet eyes and a smile. "I'm sorry, but you have kind eyes. You have a beautiful look, and you seem like a wonderful person." Sure, thanks. And constantly throughout my life, I've been told at random that I am a wonderful guy and such, that I am loving and that I'm all awesome inside. She then asked her questions and left. I've also found some songs to seem to have been written for me, like No Surprises by Radiohead. Almost got teary-eyed listening to it the first time. A few weeks back, a friend at work was singing Fernando by ABBA, because that's his name and he thinks it's pretty cool. So I say, "Man, I wonder if there are any songs with my name on them." So I search for Samuel, and then this song by some Swedish chick called Lale comes up. Listening to the lyrics, I kind of freaked out. The lyrics reflect how I am. I'm broke, and how I've grown cynical and disenchanted with my fellow man. In some ways, I think of myself as morally superior, and in others very inferior. And when in the chorus she sings, "Only love can change them, change us, Brother Samuel." It reminds me of a constant motif around my life about loving others and changing people through love or some shit.
Femme Anon here. Used to live near an old man, probably late 60s, early 70s, who was a landlord of some apartments on my street. I first met him, actually, when I was considering his apartments, but ended up living in a building across the street. From the start, he was cheerful and warm and easy to talk to. Most every morning, I'd see him on the street, walking swiftly in his denim shirt and jeans on my walk to campus. We'd greet each other with a hello and a smile, with the exception of just a handful of times when we got to talking a bit. He was such a fascinating man. On one of these occasions that we spoke, I found out he had lived in Egypt, though I don't recall what country he was from. He also described to me, wistfully, his youthful days when he danced the tango with friends, holding beautiful girls in his arms, under a grapevine trellis in the moonlight. Another such talk we had was one that definitely felt like it was scripted to me. One morning I was walking, visibly upset, trying not to cry because a certain boy had just completely broken my heart. He stopped me to ask what was wrong. I don't remember now, not even a little, what I told him or how I told him. I was heartbroken. But I'll never forget what he said to me. "You will be happy. You are young and so beautiful, and you have a special kind of beauty that is ageless. I can see it. Your eyes, your smile. When you are old like me, you will be a very beautiful woman still. What you need to find yourself a jeweler. A jeweler? I asked. Yes. You see this boy that upset you? He's a carpenter. A carpenter only knows how to work with wood. He can't work with a jewel, he can't see why it is special. But a jeweler knows. You are a jewel. Lose this carpenter and find the jeweler who will appreciate you. I couldn't believe all that he was saying. Who talks like this? Who talks like this to a neighbour? This was 13 years ago now. I lived there in 2000 to 2001, and I will never, ever forget it. And, coincidence? Telling me this boy that I so loved was not meant to be mine, even if it was because I was a jewel and he a carpenter, still made me sad. He was my best friend, my soulmate. He danced with me. I didn't want to lose him, even if he was a stupid carpenter. Well, he must have taken some jewellery appreciation classes, or maybe it turns out I'm actually just a piece of wood. But 13 years later, we're living together in an apartment of our own.
September 11th, 1993. My mom's 21-year-old cousin named Kenny dies in a car accident. About 2 years later, my mom is pregnant with me. My due date is September 11th. On my due date, my mom is in the hospital. The doctors tell her she can go home. Suddenly, everything goes wrong. I end up being an emergency C-section. My APGAR is a 1. I end up needing heart surgery. Have a 2% chance of surviving the surgery. Obviously, I survive the surgery. A few years later, I have an imaginary friend. My mom asks me what my imaginary friend's name is. I tell her my imaginary friend's name is Kenny. My mom's color drains from her face. She asks me more about Kenny. I tell her that he is 21 years old. Obviously odd for an imaginary friend. Years later, when I'm old enough to understand, my mom tells me about her cousin's death. I immediately recall the details about my imaginary friend.
Be me in Hawaii on vacation. Walking down the street, walk by a homeless woman. She says something and I turn to face her, having thought I heard my name. You said something? She said I looked like a non-middle name last name. I what? She said I looked like the man who baptized her. The man had the same first name as me, and I replied, telling her that my name was Anon. She got up and straightened my tie and said I must be the one who baptized her. I told her I had to go, partly because it creeped me out and people were waiting for me, never going to forget.
I hope that you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. If you enjoyed tonight's story, then please subscribe to the channel as more Greentext will appear daily. A new broadcast will appear when the clock strikes midnight Central Time.